I'll be your guide here on the backstage studio tour today. Before we get started, though, I need to do a quick sound check. So if you can all hear me throughout the shuttle, if you can wave your hands here, make a little bit of noise for me. All right, great. You can put those hands down now. Now that I know you can hear me, you can hear a few of my words of warning. First of all, you're going to have to keep those hands along with your feet, your head, your personal belongings, your small children inside the vehicle at all times during our tour. Also, for those of you on the right side of the shuttle here, that's the side of the shuttle I'm standing on, maybe getting just the tiniest bit wet today. Yeah, just a little bit. Don't worry about it too much, though, because you see the people sitting over here on the left-hand side? Yeah, that's you guys over here. You guys are getting soaked. Yeah, so if you'd like to trade seats, please do so now, because once we start moving past, everyone remains seated at all times during our tour. Now, while you're trading seats, I'd like to officially welcome you to the Disney MGM Studios. We are the Florida counterpart to the Walt Disney Studios way out in Burbank, California. Once again, my name is Shawna, and I'll be your guide, but I can't do this alone. Sitting behind me at the wheel of our shuttle is our wonderful driver, Frankie. Everyone say, hey, Frankie! And with that, we're all clear. Okay, well, folks, our tour begins immediately as we pull out of the shuttle station here. You'll want to look off to the right. You'll see this beige building with Mickey, Minnie, Donald all waving goodbye to us on our tour. That's the home of Walt Disney Feature Animation Florida. Inside that building, our artists and animators are working on full-length feature animated films, including The Hunchback of Notre Dame, scheduled for release next summer, rather this summer. That'll feature the vocal talents of Demi Moore, Tom Hulce, and Kevin Kline. They're also working on The Legend of Mulan, Hercules, and Fantasia Continues. Now, the magic of Disney Animation tours in that building. Want to make some time in your schedule to see that today, because it is the only place in the world where you can see our animators hard at work. Now, we are a working production studio. We feature sound stages, outdoor sets, everything we need to make a movie or television show. And we have a number of productions on our Backlot area. In fact, there's one where they've been testing out some special effects the last week or so. Well, Frankie's going to be in touch with the production coordinator on the shoot. See if we can maybe sneak back there between takes, have a look around, take a few pictures. I'll let you know about that as we get closer to it, though. Now, there are no photo restrictions on our tours. Take as much film and video as you like. And immediately to our right here is our prop warehouse. Beyond that is our motor pool. The colorful cars are from the film Dick Tracy, starring Warren Beatty, Al Pacino, and Madonna. And high in the sky to the right is the symbol of the Disney MGM Studios, our award-winning Earful Tower. Our masterpiece stands a lucky 13 stories tall and is capped off with a set of Mickey Mouse ears. Each ear weighs over 5,000 pounds. If you trivia box, that's a hat size of 342 3/8, so be friends with that one. Closer to the ground, this Gulfstream 1 aircraft is the 234 Mickey Mouse. Walt Disney bought this plane in 1964, and one of its first missions was to shuttle Walt and his Imagineers between California and New York during the final stages of the World's Fair, where he was premiering the attraction It's a Small World, Carousel of Progress, and Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, which was later to become the Hall of Presidents over the Magic Kingdom. Two silver space pods are from the 1986 Disney film Flight of the Navigator. And as we navigate around this corner, have a look off to the left, you'll see this beige buildings. These are the production bungalows. Okay, they may look a little plain on the outside, but inside is the headquarters for the production crews when they're here filming at our studios. They use these buildings as office space. Buffalo One houses the crew for Later Today. That's a television news program that will begin airing this spring. And it will be a live one-hour broadcast from our studios here. Buffalo 3 holds the crew for the Epic Adventures of Tarzan. Now, that's a fantasy series that will be premiering in the fall of '96. Over to the right is a small branch of our greens department where we store plants, trees, and shrubs until they're needed on the set. Now, greenery is used to hide what you and I in the camera are not supposed to see. Wires, lights, partially unfinished sets. We grow all of the plants in portable boxes so they can be transported easily around the sets, and should we need to use any of them inside our sound stages, we must carefully fireproof each branch, twig, and leaf due to the extreme heat from the lighting. Now, the sculpted plants on the end here are characters from Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast. These are topiaries. We have over 180 topiaries located throughout Walt Disney World property. They can take up to 10 years to fully develop, depending on the size and composition. Well, now we're entering one of our most glamorous departments here at our studios, creative costuming. Now, costuming begins with the designer's sketch, and on the far walls inside are some examples. From there, our talented seamstresses and tailors take over. Each year, they use over 175,000 yards of fabric to create over 12,000 garments. Now, in the display cases on the left, you can see original costumes worn by Angela Bassett, What's Love Got to Do With It, James Spader at Stargate, Jim Carrey's costume from Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, Kimberly Williams' bridal gown from Father of the Bride Part 2, and in the final display case, some costumes from The Santa Claus, one worn by Tim Allen in that film as, well, Santa Claus. Now, with over 180 artists designing and manufacturing all of our costumes for our live entertainment, film, and television needs, we the largest working wardrobe in the entire world with more than 2.5 million garments. But costumes aren't enough. We also need the more technical side of lights, camera, and audio. Off to the left, you'll see the areas where we put together the equipment packages used at the productions here at our studios. And we also rent out this equipment to outside productions, including rock concerts, documentaries, industrial, and location shoots throughout the country. Back over to the right is our very special Delta L-1011 aircraft that's been modified for film and television use. This plane did fly with the Delta fleet for about 10 years until we sliced it in half and modified it for film and television. What's happening here in this custom-built hangar is being used for one of our sound stages, and it was last used for Wesley Snipes' film Passenger 57, which was filmed entirely in the Orlando area. Finally, over to the left, you'll see our scenic shots. Now, this is where our craftsmen build all of the sets of props used on our sound stages. They've built sets for Epic Man, Star Search, Mickey Mouse Club, Wheel of Fortune, WCW Wrestling. Most recently, a Miramax production entitled Marvin's Room, starring Robert De Niro and Meryl Streep. That'll be out sometime next year. They've even gotten so creative they've turned their own shop into a set. They use the outside of their building here, along with the guard shack coming up on the left, as the exterior to Sterling Laboratories in the film Honey, I Blew Up the Kid, the sequel to Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. The solar van there is one of 3 identical prop solar vans used in that production. Now, just past the guard shack, under this green canopy, it looks kind of like a swimming pool in there. Well, that's pretty close. It's our underwater special effects tank. Now, producers find that sometimes it's a little difficult to go to a real ocean to shoot underwater scenes, so we built the pool and sculpted the bottom of it to look like the ocean floor. The depths range from 4 to 16 feet deep, and they can shoot here, safe from dangerous marine life like sharks, and a lot more inexpensively. The green canopy overhead allows them to shoot day or night, rain or shine, to get just the shot they need. Well, now we're entering a section of our backlot called Residential Street. Now, people often say they would love to live here at Walt Disney World, but before you pack your bags and try to move into this neighborhood, well, you might want to look through the first house on the right there. Yeah, I did say through because there are no insides or backs to any of the homes here on Residential Street. They're all facades or false fronts used for exterior filming only. The 8 homes here reflect different types of American architecture, since scripts will call for different types of settings. House number 242 on the right was used as the exterior to Vern's home in the film, Ernest Saves Christmas, and that was the first full-length feature filmed here at the Disney MGM Studios back in 1988. Now, speaking of Christmas, you can't help but see all these decorations up. That's because this evening this area becomes Lights, Camera, Christmas. You'll be able to walk up and down our Residential Street area here and view all 2.5 million twinkling lights, making this the largest residential light display in the world. Now, I'll tell you a little bit more about Lights, Camera, Christmas in a moment, but first you're going to want to look off to the left. We're approaching some of our most recognizable homes of Residential Street. First off, the beige Hawaiian-style home that belonged to the Golden Girls for 7 seasons. Now, we filmed the exterior shots here, combined them with the interior shots of the actors, which are filmed on a soundstage out in California to produce the finished show, which took place in Miami. Now, next door to the Golden Girls, the blue colonial-style home belonged to Alice and the Adventures in Wonderland. That's a series on the Disney Channel. And across the street from Alice, the 2-story peach home belongs to the TV family, the Westons, from Empty Nest, starring Richard Mulligan, Dana Manoff, David Leisure, and of course, Bear the dog as Dreyfus. Now, producers like to film here on Residential Street rather than in a real suburban neighborhood to get away from distractions such as crowds, traffic, and noise they would encounter there. Here, they can control the conditions a little more closely, which is exactly why Lights, Camera, Christmas is here. You see, these decorations belong to an Arkansas businessman named Jennings Osborne. He had all of the lights on his own home and property, and it was very popular where he lived, but so popular that it caused a lot of traffic in his neighborhood. It became rather unpopular with the neighbors. Well, that's when my boss, Mickey Mouse of Walt Disney World, stepped in and said, hey, we have the perfect neighborhood for your lights, and we don't have the problems of traffic and noise. And so he's brought most of his decorations here to our residential streets so that our guests may enjoy them now until January 14th. Up ahead of us is our New York Street set. It's the urban counterpart to Residential Street. Now, we will come back to New York Street a little bit later on in our tour, and I'll tell you more about it at that time. See, as we get closer to the big city, we have our traffic problems. So we're just holding here for a little bit of traffic to pass on by. And while it's doing that, let me just give you a little more information about Residential Street. Now, one of the great things about Studio Backlot is being able to control our own conditions. And one of those conditions was the weather. Now, the blue house that was Alice's house back there, they once had to use that for a commercial that involved a snowy winter scene. So they brought in several tons of shaved ice and styrofoam to create a white Christmas under sunny Florida skies in August. And just one of the many ways we have to control the conditions here. Well, now we're going to take a little little detour further into the backlot to an area that we call the boneyard. Now that may sound a little scary, but it's actually where we store some of our larger props when they're not in use or when they're awaiting production. Now we can't fit everything in our motor pool, so besides automobiles, we store planes, trains, boats, sometimes even spacecraft here in the boneyard until they're needed on the set. Now you may recognize some of the props you'll see here. Many of these have been used in films or television shows in the past. And we keep them around because it's easier and much more inexpensive to refurbish an older prop than it is to build an entire new one. So, now this long black speedboat is from Disney Presents The 100 Lives of Blackjack Savage. It is a real working speedboat. It's been clocked at speeds of up to 70 miles per hour on the water and was modeled after the SR-71 Blackbird spy plane. The vintage car with the green spoked wheels is from Brian De Palma's film The Untouchables, starring Sean Connery and Kevin Costner. The large cargo plane can be seen in the film Operation Dumbo Drop, starring Danny Glover, Ray Liotta, and of course Ty the Elephant. There's another one of the solar vans from Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. And the car, the truck, and the tank of the military vehicles up here were used by director Steven Spielberg in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, starring Harrison Ford and Sean Connery. The two mine cars are from the Temple of Doom. Get a good look at the metal tread on the tank there as you pass by. It's actually rubber. It's a lot safer for our stunt actors that way. And Harrison Ford, too, likes to do a lot of his own stunts. We wouldn't want any of them to get hurt during production. Now, past the canal, the three blue cars are 3 of 7 representing one car. The car that Bob Hoskins' character, Detective Eddie Valiant, drove through Toontown in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Each time that car was shot at, blown up, or crashed, used a different one to represent each stage of destruction so we could film the scenes out of sequence. Orange Red Trolley car is also from that film. It's actually a modified city bus. The steel wheels are fiberglass coverings that hide the tires of the bus, then we painted the tracks onto the road and had production crew pushing it along the painted tracks. The helicopter cockpits from the Roy Scheider film Blue Thunder. The 2 aircraft props are from The Rocketeer. Neither of those planes got off the ground. Colorful pushcarts and beat-up bobsled were used in the 1993 film Cool Runnings. The blue and white futuristic police cars are from Ridley Scott's sci-fi thriller Blade Runner, starring Harrison Ford. Red Coyote car was used as a stunt car in the television series Hardcastle and McCormick. Now across the canal you see the backs of the homes of Residential Street there. Not a lot of privacy in that neighborhood. Now, he also knows that the architectural details like the shingles on the top of the roof stop just out of the camera's range. Well, that's because we only build what the camera needs to see. Now that's an old Hollywood production trick called saving money. Something we have to do a lot of around here. So what do we do with all that money we save? Well, we build large standing sets like the one we're approaching. Now, usually we have to go around, but it looks like we're going in. Is that right, Frankie? We're going inside? All right, great. Well, she's got the green light, which means there's no filming going on in there right now, so we can have a look around. Now, since we are going in, I do need to warn you that we are going to be going over a very old, very bumpy bridge. So you don't want to keep hold of all those loose articles you have. Make sure nothing falls out of the shuttle here. And please remain seated at all times while we're inside the canyon. The production team called this Catastrophe Canyon. It's modeled after a real canyon out in Southern California. It took our production crew almost 6 months to build the canyon, which is a long time for one set, but we consider how long it takes Mother Nature to put it here for us. Well, 6 months isn't too bad. So now we'll stop in here for just a moment so you can take a few pictures. And then we'll move on to the rest of our tour. Now you see that large tanker truck in the center there? Well, once the canyon was finished, we couldn't drive it in here, so we had to use a large crane to hoist them over the edge of the canyon wall and drop it into place inside the ravine. And it's on the parking brake, or at least I hope they did. Now, as I was saying before, one of the great things about working on Studio Backlot is we have greater control over our conditions. Well, one of those conditions is the weather. Now, Mother Nature isn't always so helpful to provide us with the type of weather we need when we need it, so we've got to be able to provide it ourselves when the director needs it. Now, it's a bright sunny day today, and they need a torrential downpour for the scene they're filming, so they use what's called a rain effect, just like that one. Okay, well, they shoot the water out through spouts at the top of the canyon wall in a crisscross fashion, so it looks more realistic when it falls. It only goes out about 20 feet because the camera only sees in 2 dimensions. So if you were to take a picture of this rain, it looks like it's raining over the entire set, when it's actually only raining over the first spot. Scene 1. Frankie, do you know what... Hey, excuse me up there. We have a tour group down here. Tour group. Oh, what's going on? Whoa, I think they may be filming an earthquake scene. All right, everyone, stay calm, remain seated. I'm told everything is fine as long as there's no fire, okay? Fire. Okay, well, we're experiencing technical difficulties here. We're going to be on this in a couple of moments. Now, as you're around this corner up here, take a look off to the right-hand side. You're going to see this beige building with a big billboard on it. Says Boy Meets World. That's the Backlot Theater. It houses our popular stage show, The Spirit of Pocahontas. Check your guide maps and get there early. Seats fill very quickly for the show. Hey, everyone in the back. How you doing back there? Hey, everyone survived the Canyon all right? Great to see you today. Thanks for taking my tour. I really appreciate it. Now, if you look through the trees toward the front of the shuttle on the right-hand side, you can see the back of one of our buildings on New York Street here and the steel structure that keeps it standing. Now, these steel structures help these buildings to withstand hurricane winds of up to 100 miles per hour. Not bad for a brick building, right? Well, these buildings aren't made out of bricks. They're made out of plywood, fiberglass, styrofoam, and a thin layer of cement for texturing. Go ahead and knock on the buildings. You'll see what I mean. They sound pretty hollow. We've even painted the weather stains onto the buildings to give the illusion that they're much older than what they are. And we have to repaint this every once in a while because the real weather washes them away. Makes the buildings look too young. Now, through the Washington Square Arch, you get an excellent view of our New York City skyline. Those buildings back there are painted on a matte background to give the illusion that our New York City street goes on for blocks and blocks, but only goes on for 2. Now, the real Empire State Building in New York City is over 100 stories tall. Ours is just over 4 to give you the idea of the forced perspective we're trying to create. Ooh, the monstrous vehicle on to the right is Judge Doom's Toontown Dipmobile. That film meant the end of all tunes. For us, it means the end of our tour. Now you're going to be exiting through our American Film Institute showcase, where we have even more movie props. Some films such as 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, all the way up to current films like Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, and many, 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 many more in between. As you exit out of the showcase and up through the Looney Bin, if you take a right, you'll be out on New York Street. If you take a left, it'll lead you up to Inside the Magic, our special effects and production tour. Now please check around you. Make sure you have all your personal belongings. You're going to exit past the yellow line before opening up any strollers because these doors will be closing after you. And I'd like to thank you all for taking the backstage studio tour with us today. Your wonderful driver was Frankie. My name is Shawna, and we both hope you have a fantastic day here at the Disney MGM Studios. Thank you very much, folks. And just a moment, we'll get these doors opened up for you. All right, here come the doors. Watch your head and your step as you exit. Thanks a lot, folks. Bye-bye.